This is the I'm Possible Project Show, where we interview real people who have achieved incredible feats in the face of overwhelming odds, showing that impossible is just a state of mind and that anything is possible. I'm your host, Joshua Rivedal. Today, in episode 28, Building Wealth Without Money, I talk to Adam Geary. Let's jump right in. So today I am with Adam Geary, and Adam is a new friend of mine. We were both actually new speakers in the 2017 speaker class at Campus Speak, which is a college-based... The best, thebomb.com. And we got a chance to meet in Puerto Rico at this conference. And this guy wears a lot of hats, and he's really interesting and funny. So I'm kind of setting him up for some pressure. But Adam, man, glad to have you on the show today, brother.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure. It's absolutely my pleasure. It's great to meet you. And I'll tell you, the mission that you're striving on is one that is a must. I think you're right over the target, man. There's probably no more pressing of an issue right now than mental health. So power to you, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Dude, you got a lot going on. I know a little bit of your story. You got lots of stories, actually. But why don't you, if you would mind, just give us a little background on your life, where you've been, where you're going, the Adam Geary experience?
Yeah, certainly. So I appreciate the time. I'll tell you, I started my journey into the field of education back when I grew up in New York. My mother's an educator, and for me, there was nothing that was going to stop me from doing this. I had made all these plans, thought about all these things, and even though I was somewhat of an entrepreneur as growing up, shoveling driveways, mowing lawns, selling candy, whatever I could, I knew my drive, my life, and everything had to be geared towards education. I made the jump to Florida, went to UCF, go Knights, and it was there that things started to go a little wayward. I had experienced about 2 years in the field, and I had loved what I experienced, but at the same time, I hated what I experienced. So I had learned, about the joy of working with kids and the amazing power that these teachers had, and quite honestly, they literally changed lives right in front of me. And at the same time, I watched administration and certain individuals that were not promoting and not moving the field of education forward. And so, as luck would have it, it wasn't my choice, but it was the economy's choice. They were in 2008, they went from a hiring session to a firing session. And so basically, we were new teachers, we were 22 years old, and there was no place to go. They offered us substitutions and they offered us different opportunities, but that wasn't what I wanted to do. And so I went back to UCF and started a series of educational programs that would go on to win national and international awards with the help of many of my mentors on campus. And that kind of threw me forward. So I went from 1 year teaching middle school U.S. history, and then within a year and a half time, I was in the state DOE working on the largest adult degree retention program for non-completers. And so it's interesting how your career grows and changes from what you thought you'd be doing and in a totally different way, in a good way, making that entree and starting something new. And so I took that, ended up working for the governor of Florida directly, traveled with him, worked side by side with him. My family's not in politics. I really don't even know how I ended up in that job. Sometimes it feels like luck, but at the same time, I was a gubernatorial fellow. I had a master's. There was some opportunities there that worked themselves out. And the fellowship, and I'm going to breeze over it, is 10 people a year that they bring to the state level, and they give them upper level management opportunities. And for me, that's one of those moments that changed my life.
Dude, how do you go from being unemployed, probably flat on your face, to kind of being somewhat on top of the world, at least in your chosen field, like fellow, masters, head of the largest degree program? How does that happen in just a year? What was the mindset? What was the support like for you? What's that like?
There was like a gear that you reach, and I really believe that there's a huge amount of power in having no options. And the power comes in the realization that when you think you have no options is when you have the most options, right? So I didn't have a job. I had just graduated, and I could do anything. And rather than think about it the other way of I have nothing, I really literally could do anything within reason, obviously. And so I just had taken the time and treated the time that I had off like it was a job. So I got up, I used the gym at the same time every day. I made a point to network with people. I took some time to myself. I went and lived in Mexico for a little bit. I just invested in me. And so when you get that sort of confidence, like you can do it, anything, getting into a master's program, starting educational programs, ending up at the DOE, then ending up in the governor's office, 25 years old, you're flying around in a private jet with the guy who's in charge of almost every major decision, who behind the president is the most powerful person in your state. And then at 26 years old, you end up being the director of policy for the largest business chamber. You start to believe that if in fact you want something bad enough, it can happen. I mean, there's no difference in your story. So when it felt like, and my peers, I watched a lot of anguish for them. They felt like this was an opportunity that they had to become a teacher, and now it's gone. And for some folks, they left the profession altogether. And in my case, it was just time to realign. And if the goal was still the same, was to work with kids and work in education, it didn't matter how you got there because you would.
Mm-hmm. I think those words are really powerful, Adam, because in the sentiment behind them, and I'll use like sort of an entrepreneurial term or a business term, that you pivoted, man. You pivoted that idea, and I love that. I want to do this, and this, help kids, educate. It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there. So if you're I don't know, the administrator for the entire district, or if you're the English teacher, or if you're doing what you do now, same end goal, different packaging. That's really good for people's head to realize that they can do that, because we get so focused, like the people that were in your field who said, well, I wanted to be a teacher, and that opportunity diminished and even kind of got extinguished. Well, what else can you do in the field? I mean, let's do what Adam did. So I think you're a great example. I think you're a great example for kids. I think you're a great example for resilience, because that's something that many people need to cultivate and don't, or they do it when they're backed into a corner, which you kind of did. You were kind of backed into a corner of discomfort. So education, this difficult time. How does that experience like being jobless, flipping it on its head, turning a lemon into a lemonade? How does that inform your work and your life right now? How does that play out in maybe a positive way?
I'll tell you this. I want to take this a step further, because in one sense, you face an obstacle that was out of your control, right? An economy downturn, many people at the same exact time in the same exact scenario. And so you feel some sort of strength and also some solace to, like, it's not just me. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through this. The moments that are the toughest are when it is just you. And I will share with you that same focus and that same spirit is when you have to deploy it the most, is when you feel like you're at your lowest. And so I can tell you that as somebody who woke up one day, went to work, and got dressed like I would every other day, you walk in and you just find out you don't have a job anymore. And not only that, now you not have a job, they don't even want you in the building. And to feel like totally helpless, right? What did you do? You don't even know. You're unsure. How did this happen? And in politics, that's fairly common. And it's a very jarring experience to walk in and hear that half of your office is gone, and it's up to you to figure out what the next move is. And so I like to think of this more. The modern age thinker is very focused on these paths, right? I meet college kids frequently. They want to be on a path. I'm going to be this. I'm going to go here. And they are all focused on either financial targets, title targets, things that are, in reality, worthless, right? Because if you could get there and be unhappy. Mm-hmm. And so in the moment where you have this opportunity to look at your life and take a pause is when you need to think of your life kind of more like you're walking on a trail, right? And walk with me a little bit on this. You would never expect to see an alligator in the desert, or you'd never expect to see deer in, a barren part of the world. And yet people treat their lives like they go one way, right? I'm going to get my JD, but I don't want to be a lawyer, right? I want to do these things, but they're not aligned with what I want to do. And so what I tell people is consider your life like a walk. And so you have to decide what walk you want to take. Do you want to walk on the beach? Do you want to walk in the forest? Do you want to walk in the desert? But they're different walks, because you're not going to see the same thing in each one, right? There's no whales breaching out of the ocean, into the forest, and vice versa. And so, but why I mentioned the walk is that you never take a walk expecting to see something. So you don't go on the beach and go, I'm going to walk on this beach and I'm going to see 5 sand dollars 5 seashells, 10 birds, four whales. You don't do that. You just know that you want to go on that walk and that time. And you're going to be surprised with what you see along the way. And so for me, my walk was education. And I knew that I wanted to walk on that beach. And so I was going to take the walk no matter what had happened. I was going to keep walking and be surprised and maybe stub my toe, maybe fall down. But I knew I was walking in the right place. And the beauty in that is when you free yourself from this idea that you need to be linear with your mindset, you can see things and explore things that you hadn't planned for. But because they're in the space you want to be working on, it feels like it's right on time.
That's a great mindset to cultivate. And I love the analogy because we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't I'm going to see 8 seahorses. Like I went snorkeling last summer with my wife, Cayman Islands, and we were like, I need to see 6 dory fish. And we just went out and did it. And the end goal really was, we had no expectations. I think one of the things that I'm distilling from your analogy and the essence of what you're saying is no expectations. Do it because you want to do it. Do it because of the outcome. Do it because you want to help people. Not like I have to help 8 people. Adam, we speak. We do these speeches, and we're like, I need to save 6 people's lives, and I need to make sure 2 do this and 3. It's not like that, and you're so right about the titles and the money and it's the expectations. And go for a more what makes you feel good. And usually what makes you feel good is sticking to your integrity and also sticking with, I'm going to help people. I mean, that's usually the surefire way to kind of keep afloat, even when times are really hard.
There's a guy our age that when I had lost my job, I called. He's very successful. He's probably a multimillionaire at this point. He's 35. And we had spoken and the item that I was addressing to him was that I have all these opportunities, like everyone on the phone, everyone who's hearing, I should say right now, you can do anything. You literally could. I can't become a doctor. Actually, you could. It involves going to take the MCATs and then going to medical school and then doing your residency. You can become a doctor. If you want to, well, that's a different story. And so he had said to me that the hardest part about opportunities is it's hard to filter through them. And so he recommended something that I do use to this day. It sits on my desk. In fact, I have it right here. And he recommended to me you create the 5 things that you need to achieve in a 5-year period. And you could do 3 years or you could do longer, but it has to be 5. And one of them cannot be money. And so what that forces you to do is you say, okay, what are the things that really, really drive me? And so when I created my 5, and any of my mentees hear this, they'll know it because I beat the 5 always. And my 5 were I wanted autonomy. I wanted the ability to be creative. I wanted to work on tasks, not on time. I just came out of a very time-oriented organization. I wanted to live a life. I want to live comfortably, right? So you people might say, well, it's kind of money. It's just saying that I just want enough to whatever that means. And then the 5th one was I wanted to be able to have ownership. So that was what I wanted. It doesn't have to be for everybody. And so when I evaluate opportunities that come to me, I evaluate them against the 5s. So somebody could come to you tomorrow, Josh, and say, this could be an amazing opportunity. You could do this, this, and this. And it's very possible you could do all those things. But are those part of your core 5? Are they going to keep you on the path, right? You've chosen a path that you want to walk down. And so the real, the amorphous idea is rich, right? The rich, is it rich financially? Can you be wealthy with experiences? Can you be wealthy in that you sleep easy at night and you don't want for anything? I mean, the joke is that wealth is in fact financial. So if you look at where you're coming from on this and you say, these are the key things that I want to do. And so in my lowest moment, when I could do anything, I built my curriculum. I just evaluated everything against it. What is the rubric that I want to base my decisions on? That's why I'm where I am today at 30. I'm an owner in a multi-million-dollar consulting firm that focuses on education.
So your path
hasn't changed.
Was very, yeah. I'm so impressed, and yet I'm hearing these words, and I'm like, kids need to hear this. I mean, adults need to hear this too, but really sticking with that because it is. And I've been saying this for a couple years now because years back I was really, really focused on money, and it didn't really go that well. And then as soon as it was more focus on the essence and focus on the work and focus on kind of lifestyle design in a sense, which is somewhat of what you've done with your plan and your path, things got a lot easier. I mean, I still have my difficult days, but
you always will.
When everything's sort of, but when everything's in line as designed, with some diversion here and there, with life throws stuff at us, but when it just makes it a whole hell of a lot easier, and I can go to sleep easier, and the work becomes easier. I don't say yes to the wrong people. I don't take the wrong jobs just because it's X amount of dollars. In fact, there's a friend of mine who's starting to get into speaking, and she has a couple of kids. We were talking about speaking, and I was like, well, just make sure you know what you want to accomplish, and make sure you know the size and the scope of how big you want that business to be, and don't make it about money, because you're going to be away from your kids, you're going to be away from your husband, you're going to be away from your doctor. So how many gigs a month? Like, what do you want this to look like? And I think when people are coming out of school and coming from positive educational environments, we forget to teach them that it's not just about the job. It's not just about the money. It's about how does this inform my entire life and my entire lifestyle? Love that, man. Really, really wise.
Man, I would pivot on one of the items you mentioned there, and it's the idea that, and for the young listener, I would say you leave on the higher education world or even K-12, and everything for you has been decided. Right? And it feels very structured. And you go to college and you declare your major. At the point you know the least, you pick the most important decision of your life. Right? So you have not even started college. And for most people, that's when they pick what they're going to do, quote unquote, for life. And when I hear your path, right, and I think about what you focused on, where you are today, the beauty of the path reference is that, what happens when you're done walking on the beach? You just walk off it. You go somewhere else. Go hike in the woods. And you try something different. Yeah. So for the people that are worried about, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? God, that sounds terrible. Mm-hmm. What are the things what are the things you love to do? And I hate that sentence, but using if you can't get the rubric through your mind, think about the thing that makes you the most happy. Well, I like watching football and drinking beer. Okay. Should you own a sports bar? Should you be a manager of Buffalo Wild Wings? I'm not saying those are routes that I would choose, but if that is the most basic answer that you have, then that is where you should be progressing. And then feel free to pivot. So for me, back to my path, I left the governor's office not having a clear route. I made a conscious decision. I avoided opportunities that would have been maybe more lucrative, but it would have taken me away from what I wanted to do. And that is what's landed. That's why at 28 years old, I ended up at this firm I'm with now. And it's why at 30, I own some of it. And I felt a need. Right? I wasn't doing what I loved. I wanted to be working with kids. I wanted to be back on a campus. And so rather than just completely walk off every path, and you don't need to do that, I kind of hybridized mine. Right? I didn't just walk on the same beach. I walked on different beaches. And so in addition to my work in education, I now am a speaker, and I'm on campus, and I work with students. And so I'm fulfilling the roles I want to fulfill. But at no point will I do this for the rest of my life. And at no point did I think when I was 23 years old, walking out of my master's, that I know that I'd be doing this now. And so the finality of making those decisions it's soul crushing, but it doesn't have to be. Mm-hmm. You can use your core 5 to make a decision in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, and you go and you learn and you move. And switching jobs is totally healthy. If everyone did the same job, I'd still be mowing a golf course. I'd still be DJing Sweet 16s. Like, we just don't do that. So my closing thought on that is that think about your life as a college curricula where you're kind of crafting each piece of your life, trying different things like you did with your course load, like you do when you were at those courses, is no different. I want to be a college speaker for a few years. Maybe I'll do something else after it. Maybe I won't speak at all, but I'll have done it. And you can do the same thing, and the listeners can do the same thing. The idea that you're trapped is, in fact, a falsity. You can walk out the door and start something and do something, and that is the story you read about all the time. Why not stop reading it and start being it?
Yeah, and the idea of being trapped, I mean, it's really a mindset. Often prisons and things like that, they're not man-made. They're of our own making, and so we do. Opportunity is around every corner. And just kind of touching back on that point of, I like football and beer, so what am I going to do? Like, yeah, okay, sports bar, Buffalo Wild Wings, right? So, like, in my case, relating to that piece, and I tell young artists this a lot because I'm an actor. I was an actor, actually. Technically, I think you could still call me a working actor because some of the work that I do, but I was like, this is unfulfilling. I'm not doing what I want to do. I don't want to do Music Man again for the 15th time or like the backyard version of Rent. Like, this is nonsense. And it was unfulfilling. And plus life happened, tragedy happened. And so I'm doing, my good chunk of my business is public speaking, and it fulfills that creative nature. And then I also do a one-man play sometimes, and that fulfills my creative nature where it taps into advocacy and all that. But I get a chance to put all these different things that I'm good at all together. Right. And so maybe I'm not, on some TV show or whatever, but that's not the be all end all. That it's just like being a teacher or being an educator and saying, well, an educator means teacher, so therefore I have to go teach English. No, Adam owns this educational company that's doing what it's doing and helping people in unnamed parts of the U.S. I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose what we talked about. But I just think those words and that essence is so powerful. And I think that it's really, because on this show, we've talked a lot about tragedy and trauma and turning, obstacles into assets and things like that. But this is also a part of what we do. And so I'm riffing a little bit and commenting, and I'm going to get back to you. But I just want our listeners to know how important this is, because Adam's words are kind of how I live my life already. And I'm trying to bring people with me, and I feel like, Adam, you're one of my people, and I don't need to bring you with me, but you and I are doing very similar things as it happens in our professional careers, but the way we got there is also very similar, which I find very interesting and very cool. We have to go on tour together. But it's about overcoming obstacles and turning impossible into I'm possible. It's about that mindset, Impossible is a frame of mind. Can't is a frame of mind. Pulling yourself up by your bootstraps when you're jobless at 22 and say, I'm going to go do something else, that's a mindset, man. So, dude, you fit right in with the rest of us, man. Just want to put that out there.
I appreciate it, man. When those moments come, and they will, right? And if you think about it as you're listening to this, and if this sounds terrifying, like, just own it. You will be fired or you will quit. It will happen. And if it doesn't, it's almost like you're missing out, because it gives you an opportunity to reboot your life and rethink about what it is you're doing. And this is not my own case study. I have given this advice to multiple people, that the first thing I told them to do when they left their job was to take time off and just be them. And then work out, treat yourself, take care of yourself. I'm not talking about going on trips because I was unemployed. I'm talking about do those things that when you're in a private meeting, you're in a private conversation, like, I need to do this. Oh, I need to get better at that. I should really be doing it. Just do those. If that's what you want to really be doing, do those. And in that exploration of your time and yourself, some of these answers will become a lot more clear. When the person that comes to me says, they're totally panicked. This just recently happened in January. They're freaking out. They don't have enough money. They just got fired. They're working at a retail store. They were going check to check. And what has transpired since then is that he took that time to breathe and say, why was I living this way? What's the first thing you have to do? In his case, he had to get himself out of debt. Right? And so he put all of his energy, any side jobs he could, paid off whatever debt he had. Then he went in and he was like, all right, I got to go to college. Now, in my case, I paid for him to go to college, but that was a family choice. You can find your way into college, right? There's grants. There's 100 ways to do it. And so where I'm not going to go down the whole story here, but my point in this is that you don't have to eat the apple all at once. You feel like you're trapped and you're listening to this call. You feel like you're in a spot where you can't get out. Take that first step. So if you say to me, I'm unhappy in what I'm doing, but I can't leave my job, no doubt, don't. Build your core five while you're at your job and then start working your way out. You want to open your own business? Awesome. Join a meetup group. Work with those guys. You want to go back to college? Wonderful. Take as many night classes as you can, as long as you can stomach it while you work the job you need to work for the near term, because life is much longer than it seems, and do it. But the idea that you're kind of handcuffed and there's nowhere to go, very, very few people, and in fact, almost no one has no options. You have options. And so you build your life around those options. For me, I have a French press every single morning with my wife in our home, and that is what I want to do every day. I start my day off every day with a kiss from her and a cup of coffee. That's what I wanted. That may not be for everybody, but that's what I wanted. And I took the little steps to get here. It's not about becoming a millionaire, winning the lotto, becoming Mark Zuckerberg. I need to build an app. I need to buy a business. Whoa. Put the big goal on top. What is it that what do you think you want to do? And then build everything else downward. You would never put the roof on a building first. There's a reason it goes on last.
Yeah, man. It's like one of my favorite little quotes, like, what's the easiest way to eat a 300-pound elephant? One bite at a time. I think sometimes people get so paralyzed about all the options, or, well, I got to do this by this age, or be here, or do that. You're so right, man. Focus on that little stuff. Because you'll never be 23 again. You'll never be 25 again. Guys, I'm 31. I can't go back. Be 23. Go out. Have fun. Take that random trip. Backpack. Go see your friends. Do the things that make you happy, and it will pay dividends. You don't need to be something. You will be something. No one's life story ends at 25. And for the millennial people out there, you're crushing yourself with undue pressure, and I see it every day. You'll be okay. You will be successful. Success is defined by how you define it. Do you need to be a millionaire? Do you need to have the biggest car and the nicest house? The answer is you probably don't need it. Need and want are two separate things. And as you get older, you'll appreciate it more. But I tell you, the one thing you'll never have more of is time. And I would just implore the people that are stressed in their job to try to press and be somewhere and do something that they're not ready for, they're not prepared for. Enjoy where you are. Enjoy the stations of life. You are where you are for one reason or another. And if you don't want to be there, you already heard how I think about it. Take that step. Find that new beach. Find that new road and walk it. Some mindfulness for that, Be present. Enjoy where you are. Be grateful for what you have right now. Because it'll invariably could lead to that next step on the path. You're able to take that next step. Nobody said leap. Nobody said sprint. Said step. Yeah.
And if you look at the most successful people, they didn't get there overnight. No one did. No one. Any of the most successful people in the world did not get there by chance. Doesn't happen. In fact, the most dedicated people that you know the most about, it's just that they are dedicated to one thing. And there's a great book about this called The One Thing. And the hypothesis is simple. You know Steve Jobs because Steve Jobs made the iPhone. You know Bill Gates because Bill Gates made Windows operating systems. Right? They do all this extra stuff. Someone's like, well, they also make the Apple Watch. Yes, they do. But you don't know him for the Apple Watch, right? You know him for one product that changed the way that we live. And all these folks, Jamie Dimon, name any industry leader that you know of. It's not that they jumped around, did 10 things, that were all kind of scattered and they weren't focused on anything. And if you pick that up, if you think I'm advocating for trying multiple things, I am, but on the same beach, or change beaches. But trying to walk the beach, be on the desert, hike a mountain, and swim the ocean is impossible. And I see this with serial entrepreneurs who start 6 projects and finish none of them. That's not the path to success. The path to success is taking the time at a young age to define what it is you believe at this moment in time that you want to do, and being the best at that. And if that's an actor, being the best you can be. And then being okay if switching paths. I did. Yeah. I had no plans to be here. In fact, my high school advisors told me I wouldn't be a good fit for college. So weigh that out.
There you are. A couple of master's degrees, fellowship in, a step at a time.
That's it.
Another good book on that is called The Pumpkin Plan. And it's about how do people create a prize-winning pumpkin. Well, of course, you feed it the right seed, or you use the right seeds, you feed it the right kind of mix, the right kind of food, but you don't let other pumpkins grow on that vine. You concentrate on that one and let it grow and feed it and all that. So
I've never heard of this, but I believe it.
It's a good one. Yeah. Dude, I could philosophize on this for a while, because this was like the crux of like some of my early work when I was doing a lot of coaching and stuff. I was doing a lot of coaching and consulting, especially with like artists and stuff, helping them turn their careers into businesses, because it's somehow starving artists got sexy for some reason and struggle. And then people kind of realize, oh, wait, this isn't as cute as it looks on TV or whatever. So I was doing a little bit of that and just really digging into to your words, man, and the sentiment, because we just need to hear more of that, because invariably it'll help people live happier and healthy and more fulfilling lives. And I'm a big proponent. Wealth has nothing to do with money. Money is a tool. Adam, I want to switch gears for a minute, man. Super intelligent, well-spoken, and that doesn't mean that you don't have to be in this next segment. But we dig in on some very heady topics. But I think I got a chance to hang out with you a little bit in Puerto Rico, and you're very funny and engaging and all that stuff. And so I want people to maybe know a little bit of that side to you too. So this is a quick fire round. So it's just some fun questions, no big deal. Inside the actor studio moment or whatever. No right or wrong.
All right, go ahead.
Let's do it. Adam, what is your favorite word?
Yes.
Yes. Spoken by a true
fraternity
brother.
You said yes more times, more than no. You will be in much better places than you even realize.
Quite true. Kind of like life is an improv exercise, like the rule is yes and. That's like the base of it,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. I remember when I was coming out of my deep, dark sort of depression, not sort of, it was, one of the things that I kind of committed to was saying yes, and it changed my life. So, tap right into your favorite word.
We went camping. Oh, I can't. I just have all this stuff to do and want to push all the extra stuff aside. You will always need to go shopping. You always need to get oil in the car. You'll always have to do all this kind of BS. Live your life in the moment that you can, when you can. And so say yes.
So then what's your least favorite word?
Oh, that's an easy one, man. It's can't.
That's one of the more popular ones. Can't and moist. I think are some of the most popular ones on the show. So
I'm not a big fan of puberty either. I don't know why it is. Something gross about it.
That's a verse, but that's kind of a weird word too.
It's just like a strange. I think it's also they roll that out like very often and very aggressively around a very strange time in a young man's life, and so just prepubescent, the puberty, the whole setup. I'm shot with it. I'm through it. I'm done. I'm done altogether.
Adolescent.
I can deal with that. I could deal with that. But for me, the can't is usually, you won't find many people I hang out with that are canters. Like, I can't. Oh, I wish I could. I really do, but I can't. It's like,
I can't hang out with
another one. Another one I really hate. Sorry, I guess I had more than I hate. I realized.
You're good.
Busy, and I'll tell you why. Busy. Busy has become a moniker that people use to exert themselves as somehow more important, and then also to just explain away everything. Why aren't you treating yourself better? You're super overweight. You're super unhealthy. I am just so busy. You're more busy than dying of morbidity, overweight. I mean, come on. Right? Why don't you ever see your family? I'm starting a business. I'm so busy. You didn't call me back. I'm sorry, I was busy. It's like a throwaway word that means nothing, that doesn't help anybody, that doesn't help the end user. It's terrible. If you really press me, it's probably busy. And my friends know it. I'm just not into it. Busy, backup, puberty, triple whammy, can't. Put me in that order somewhere.
Can't do puberty because I'm too busy. I just use it all in the sentence.
That's it, man. I'm too busy for chest hair. Oh, God. I can't deal with it, man. And see, I can't even dealing with that.
Right? That's funny. Dude, the busy thing annoys me to no end. I'm so with you. It's not an excuse for being a jerk. It's not an excuse to, X, Y, Z. I mean, you said it all.
It's 9:07 p.m. on the East Coast. I leave for a 18-day trip to Europe tomorrow. I am not packed. I have a sink that is leaking before we leave town, and I'm on the phone with you because I made a commitment. Regardless of whether I'm busy or not, you always have time for things you put first. This is important.
Sure.
My friend is doing something, and I'm going to be there for him.
Appreciate that, man. That means a lot. It means a lot. I can hear that drip. No, I can't. I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, that means a lot. All right, I got another one for you. If somebody made a movie of your life, Adam, what would this be on? Let's call it a Netflix special. Get you something made.
Okay.
Who would play the lead role of Adam Geary?
We're talking about modern day, or are we talking about in 30, 40 years from now? Set me up for a little bit here.
The toddler from that Gerber commercial looks amazing. He's probably great for you. You know,
I'm talking like,
somebody actually,
are we talking about me, 65, 70? Like, are we talking about, or what? Where are we going here?
dog, you can do whatever you want. So somebody broke out Orson Welles today, all right? And I was like, that's kind of obscure, interesting. And then somebody else.
Like how would you describe him? Charlton Heston. You're like, okay, that's pretty defined. Like, all right, I guess.
Ramses the Third from the Second Egyptian Dynasty, because he just had it going on. No. Somebody said Sandra Bullock, and then it like as flashback kind of a deal, because she's like 15 or 20 years younger. So you play this however you want, man. This is your life story. You're an executive producer. So who would do that? Who would play you?
Modern day. If I had to maybe pick somebody, maybe and hear me out while I'm coming from this. It's not for vanity, right? It would be like a hybrid. You can go one or two ways, right? You go either like the Rounders, Matt Damon, kind of like not stopping, no matter what, kind of comes out, maybe a little bit of forget the fact that he's like dashingly handsome, right? Just like dog ear. The guy never stops, finds a way. At the very end of the movie, if you've seen it, he goes out and like he pushes in all the chips and goes what he wants, right? Really in touch with what we're talking about here. You could also go another way. You could be like, not with the profanity laced, maybe a little Ari Gold, but like the total ridiculous, terrible way he treated his staff and all that stuff, but just that get him nonstop, let's do it. Yeah. That kind of lifestyle. I'm a fan of both of those, probably.
Snap of that finger. Yeah. If Matt Damon got cast as Ari Gold instead of I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but
Jeremy Piven.
Jeremy Piven, for God's sake.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. You get that hybrid thing going on. I'm cool with that.
And then if I was older, like if we get to know one another more, definitely like a Robert De Niro. But hear me why. Robert De Niro, but like in Meet the Fockers. Yeah. Because I anticipate being a pretty serious, for lack of a better term, ball buster as I get older. So I could see all the above. I could see all these falling into play here.
I'm in. I could see it happen. I could see the dominoes falling. It's kind of making me laugh. Let me see if I got another good one. All right, we'll kind of bring this down. This will be like our last one. It'll be a little bit serious, or it could be whatever. Actually, if heaven exists, if it exists, what would you like to hear God say to you as you enter, or as you get kicked out?
Definitely as I enter.
Okay.
And as I get to the door, just be like, good work. I feel like he and I are on a pretty unique, we don't know each other that well, but I think either you believe in religion or not, or you believe in God or not, put that off the table for a second. The concept of doing good to others, right? Treating people well. Those are universal. So even if you're like, I'm an atheist, I don't believe in God. That's totally your choice. I do, but that's totally your choice. You can't argue with and taking care of people, doing the right things by people. And so, I think if you were to say one thing to me, it would be that. And if he's asking me to go back down to heaven, or to maybe back to earth, or if you're suggesting hell, if it was to hell or even back to earth, it'd be get back to work, start helping people down there. Hey guys, you're in hell. Let's make the best plan as we can. Let's maybe work those soul issues out and get you back up top. He wants you.
Yeah. I can see you being down there like the guy creating hell's first air conditioner or something.
Dude, building it. It's like Carrier, man.
Yeah. I think as you're walking into heaven, I feel like God would give you a hefty fist bump too. I don't, for some reason that just crossed my mind. Yeah.
I mean,
whatever.
What if he hit you with like just a straight tap on the ass, just like slaps you on the ass and like, get in there, son. Like, inside, boys. Like, all right, I'm here.
I've been doing this wrong for years.
It's like 86, great draft class. Like, I thought so. I felt pretty good about it. I mean, I thought we did a pretty good work out there.
Yeah. That's hilarious. All right, man. Well, that's the end of the quick fire round. Adam, what do you think, like, a couple of things, like, what do you think, like, personally and professionally, like, maybe the next 6 months, maybe as much as a year? What does that look like for you, or what are you kind of aiming for?
6 months.
Down in your world. Personally, professionally, whatever.
6 months, a lot easier. I would like to, and I'm working towards competing in a PGA event as an AM. That would be a 6 month goal. That'll be in March if it comes together. And professionally, I'd like to stay where I'm doing. I really like the work we do. In a single stroke of a pen, if we get our bill passed and signed, or some of the work that we do in different states, the consulting side or building things, we change thousands of kids. So, you go back to my beginning story, right? I had a class of 121. I had a roster of 121 kids when I taught. And any given day at work, the numbers of students that we talk about are in the thousands. So you're trying to impact 100,000 kids, 200,000 kids, who and how and when, all of that can be impacted by the people that work in the policy world. And so for me, the near term is clear. I want to work at the high level, and then to go back to my item about how do you eat an apple one bite at a time, or you're eating elephants, by all means, your choice. For me, it's campus speak, working with students. It's talking about some of these harder issues. It's my mentees. I have 6 of them. Working with them, pushing them, expecting more for themselves, not for me. Don't do anything for me. I'm there for where I want to be right now. And so that's probably my near term. If I talk to you in a year from now and I was still where I'm at, and I'm still doing what I'm doing, my mentees are still crunching away, I'll be pretty happy.
I love it, man. I love it. You're walking the talk, talking the walk. If people want to get in touch with you, man, if they want to, holler at you for a speech, if they want to find out about your work or ask a question, or I don't know, whatever reason, is it social media, email, whatever? Like, what might be the best way that people can get in touch with you and find more out about you, or just get in touch?
Absolutely. So the best way to get in touch with me, most certainly, is email. You can catch me at adam@campusspeak.com. That's 1 S to David Stillman, if he ever hears this. He's a stickler for the spelling. So it's CAMPUS, and it's PEAK.com. And that's probably the best way. I'm pretty responsive, but by all means, I'd love to talk to you. If you're interested, you want to talk about this more, I'm available. And not just for hire, but look, I believe in helping people, and I think if I look forward in my life, the things I want to achieve are all in that space. It's at one point I thought I wanted to be a university president, right? So go all the way back. Sorry, guys. Last thought. I wanted to be a university president. That's what I wanted to do. And why? I wanted to help students. And I felt like at that point in my life, without the knowledge I have now, that I could be the most impactful to students, maybe at that presidential level. And it turns out that in the role I have now, I'm frequently, and my firm is frequently, and the policymakers I engage with are frequently consulted by presidents. They're coming to seek advice, and we're giving advice, and they're giving us advice. And so, I may not be where I want to be, but my goal of working with people and working with folks, that's what I want to achieve. So I think if you're asking me as far as on a go-forward strategy, I would love to continue building businesses, continue hiring people, helping people achieve their goals, man. And if you have a question about it and you want to talk, got my email.
Awesome. I think it's pretty apparent that your heart is in a really great place, and I just want to say that I appreciate that. I appreciate you, man, and it was great having you on the show. This is a real ball, and I'm glad you made some. I appreciate you making the time, and so just want to thank you. It was an understatement. I mean what I say. It was an honor, and it was a treat, dude. Seriously, thank you.
My brother, it's my pleasure.
You've been listening to the I'm Possible Project show with Joshua Rivedal and guest Adam Geary. I love sharing stories and how to turn impossible into I'm possible. If you want more inspirational stories, our second and third books are in pre-order right now. Changing Minds, Breaking Stigma, Achieving the Impossible, as well as Lemonade Stand. Both contain powerful stories of overcoming tremendous odds. When life gives you lemons, squeeze, add sugar, and pick up a copy of The I'm Possible Project. www.IamPossibleProject.com/pre-order. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're more than a community. You're part of the I'm Possible family. Until next time, sending you lots of love.